Why does making money feel so hard? You work, you save, you try to be responsible, but somehow, the numbers never seem to add up. The bills keep coming, the paycheck disappears faster than you expected, and that dream of financial freedom feels like it keeps moving further away. Here's the truth. Making money isn't magic. It's not a secret code only the wealthy know. It comes down to two pillars: your inner foundation and the environment around you. I want to share a story. Years ago, I worked with a close friend on a small business. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't built on some brand new app or complicated system, but within 10 years, it was generating more than $1 million a year. That business taught me one of the biggest lessons of my life. Money follows people who understand two simple things: what people want, and how to give it to them in a way they trust. This is what we're breaking down today. On the Passive Path, we talk about building wealth in ways that last. And today's video might be the most valuable lesson yet. By the end, you'll see money differently, and you'll see that building wealth isn't about luck, it's about clarity. Ready? Let's break down the first pillar. The first pillar is internal. It's you, your mindset, your habits, your willingness to change. Most people say they want financial freedom. They want more income. They want a better lifestyle, but they don't change themselves. They keep doing the same thing every day. Then they wonder why nothing improves. Think about it. If you're in the US working a regular 9-to-5 job making $60,000 a year, you might feel comfortable. But if every dollar is tied to every hour, there's a limit to how far you can go. You can't just wish your way into wealth. You have to shift the way you think about money. Instead of asking, how can I make more money? Ask, what problems can I solve that people are willing to pay for? That's the switch. Let's take a simple example. A young accountant in Chicago spends years getting certified. They land a steady job at a firm. Their salary grows slowly, maybe a few percent each year. Meanwhile, their friend starts helping local restaurants with bookkeeping on the side. That friend isn't just crunching numbers. They're solving a business owner's pain. They charge more per hour than the accountant's salary allows. Within a few years, the side hustle outpaces the stable job. The difference isn't just skill, it's mindset. One person sees themselves as an employee. The other sees themselves as someone who solves real needs. And here's the thing, your skills don't need to be extraordinary. They just need to connect with real demand. If you understand how to adapt yourself, learn new skills, and stay flexible, you'll always find opportunities. This is why so many people in North America feel stuck. They think financial growth comes from waiting for a raise, but raises are crumbs. Freedom comes from changing how you see yourself. Not as someone who just fills a role, but as someone who creates value. Every financial journey starts here. You first, your beliefs, your skills, your willingness to adjust. When you change yourself, you unlock the ability to change your money. What if the real reason money feels hard isn't the economy, your boss, or bad luck? What if the real reason is that you haven't upgraded yourself yet? Money comes down to two things: demand and exchange. That's it. Not luck, not being born into the right family, not even having the perfect degree. Demand means people want something. Exchange means you give them what they want in return for something of value. Usually that value is money. Most people never stop to think about this. They only focus on what they want. They say, I need more income. I need to pay my bills. I need a better job. But money doesn't come because you need it. Money comes because you meet someone else's need. This is why so many workers feel stuck. They master one skill. They get trained to fill one position, and they spend their lives answering the needs of a department, not the needs of the market. Think about college. In North America, universities train people for specific roles: accounting, engineering, nursing, marketing. All of these are important, but they're designed to meet the internal needs of a company, not necessarily the true needs of customers. That's why so many graduates say, I went to school, I got the degree, but I still feel stuck. They learned a skill, but they didn't learn how to connect it directly to the flow of money. Take an example. Imagine a software engineer in Seattle. They're great at writing code, but all they do every day is fix small bugs assigned by their manager. They don't see how the product is sold. They don't talk to customers. They don't know why one feature makes money and another doesn't. So even though they're skilled, their pay barely moves. Now imagine another person. They also know how to code, but they ask a different question. What problem are small businesses in my neighborhood facing? Maybe local gyms need custom booking systems. This coder builds a simple solution and charges a monthly fee. Now their skill connects directly to demand and exchange. The money flow becomes visible. Empathy is the missing ingredient. It's not just about knowing what people say they want, it's about feeling what they struggle with, understanding the pain behind their words. Think about older adults in Florida. Many of them get scammed into buying fake health products. Why? Because they actually want better health, they want support, but nobody they trust is giving it to them. Scammers fill the gap. If you step in with honesty, patience, and real value, you don't just sell a product, you solve a deep need. You protect people from being taken advantage of. And in return, you earn both money and loyalty. The same is true in every neighborhood. People complain about things all the time. Healthcare costs are too high. Childcare is too expensive. Home repairs are unreliable. Most people just complain and move on. But those complaints are signals. They're opportunities waiting for someone to listen. Every time someone says there should be a better way, that's a business idea. Every time someone says, I hate how this works, that's a chance to create value. The world isn't short of money, it's short of people willing to solve problems with empathy. When you stop asking, what do I need, and start asking, what do they need, the opportunities around you multiply. You'll see them in everyday life, in your workplace, in your neighborhood, even in your family. That's the real nature of money. It's not about chasing dollars, it's about chasing needs. Find the need, offer the exchange, and the money follows. What if the secret to wealth isn't chasing money at all, but simply learning to listen better? Let me tell you about a business that changed everything for me. It didn't start with a big investment. It wasn't built on flashy technology, it was simple. But it grew into a company that earned over $1 million a year. The customers were older adults. Many of them didn't understand new technology. Smartphones confused them. Computers felt overwhelming. Even printing a simple photo was stressful. My partner opened a small store. At first, it just sold USB drives and memory cards. But he did something different. He noticed that older customers often didn't know how to use the products. So he and his staff went to their homes. They patiently showed them how to plug things in. They explained how to transfer photos. They even printed one free photo every day for seniors who came by. Think about that for a second. Every other store just sold gadgets. This store offered trust, patience, and real help, and that changed everything. The seniors began visiting the store every day. They stopped fearing technology. They stopped falling for scams. They started to see the store staff like family. Some even called them their adopted kids. Once trust was built, sales became natural. When seniors needed a blood pressure monitor, they bought it from the store. When they wanted health supplements, they trusted the prices. When they needed a water filter or a massage chair, they knew they weren't being cheated. The store didn't try to squeeze every dollar out of them. Instead of selling a device for 5 times the price like scammers did, they sold it at a fair margin, about 30% profit. Enough to sustain the business. Fair enough for customers to keep coming back. Soon the business expanded. They partnered with travel companies to organize tours for seniors. They hired nurses to visit homes for blood pressure checks. They sent health updates to children who lived far away. They created a full ecosystem of trust. In just a few years, the business wasn't just a shop. It was a community hub. Thousands of loyal customers, millions in revenue, and all of it built on empathy and exchange. Now imagine this in North America. Picture a small cafe in Texas. It looks like any other coffee shop from the outside. But inside, seniors can bring their phones and tablets. The staff helps them set up video calls with family. They teach them how to use apps safely. They print out family photos for free. After a while, the cafe becomes more than a cafe. It becomes a trusted space. And when those same seniors need hearing aids, mobility aids, or health supplements, they buy them right there. Or picture a community center in Toronto. Immigrants come in confused about government forms, taxes, or digital banking. A small team helps them fill out paperwork for free. They translate, they guide. Over time, the community trusts them. When it's time to buy insurance, send money abroad, or sign up for financial services, where do they go? To the people who help them first. This is the heart of the million-dollar business. It's not about chasing money, it's about earning trust. And once trust is earned, money flows naturally. What if the next million-dollar idea isn't hiding in Silicon Valley, but right in your neighborhood? Money doesn't move randomly. It flows in very specific directions, and if you're far from that flow, your income will always feel limited. Inside a company, not every role touches money directly. Some roles exist to support. They're important, but they don't control where the cash comes from. Think about it. Sales brings in revenue. Product development creates something people want to pay for. Marketing connects the product to the right audience. These are the engines that pull money into the business. Now look at other roles. Human resources, accounting, administration. These roles are needed, but they don't create money directly. They manage it after it arrives. That's why salaries in those areas rarely explode. Let's take an example from everyday life. In California, a nurse might earn a stable paycheck. It's good work, it helps people, but their income has a ceiling. Now imagine that same nurse transitions into medical device sales. Suddenly, they're not just caring for patients. They're bringing in new hospital contracts worth millions. Their commissions skyrocket. The skill set didn't disappear, it just moved closer to the flow of money. Here's another example. A factory worker in Ohio might be skilled at operating machines, but the factory's profits don't rise or fall based on their individual effort. Now imagine that same worker notices a demand for custom metal parts in their town. They'd buy a small 3D printer and start producing parts for local car enthusiasts. They went from an employee waiting for a paycheck to a creator connected directly to demand. The key is simple. Ask yourself 3 questions. Who needs this? Why do they need it? What will they exchange for it? If you can answer those questions, you've stepped into the stream where money flows. If you can't, you're standing on the shore watching others collect it. Every major entrepreneur in history learned this, from the corner store owner to the founder of a tech giant. They asked better questions. They paid attention to where demand was growing. They focused on exchange. Think about industries in North America right now. Technology, renewable energy, healthcare, logistics, personal finance, these are rivers of money. Meanwhile, some industries are shrinking, like coal mining, DVD rentals, or print newspapers. If you're in a shrinking industry, you can work twice as hard and still move backward. That's why choosing your environment matters. Being in the right industry makes growth easier. Being in the wrong industry makes it nearly impossible. Money doesn't disappear, it shifts. It moves from old industries to new ones, from outdated products to new solutions. Your job is to stand where the flow is strongest. What if instead of working harder in the wrong place, you started moving closer to where the money already wants to go? Trust is the lowest cost way to make money. Without it, every sale feels like a fight. With it, every sale feels natural. Think about what happens when you sell to strangers. You have to spend on advertising. You have to convince them to listen. You have to push them to believe you. That takes time. That takes money. Now think about selling to someone who already trusts you. They don't need convincing. They already know you. They already believe you. The cost of reaching them is almost zero. This is why trust is the real foundation of wealth. It's not the product. It's not the ad. It's the relationship. So how do you build trust? You start by giving value first. You solve small problems without asking for payment. You show up when others don't. You keep promises. Let's look at a real-world example. A local gym in New York decides to do something different. Instead of just selling memberships, they host free workshops on nutrition and stress management. They invite anyone in the community, no pressure to sign up, just useful help. At first, people come for the free information. Over time, they start trusting the trainers. When they finally decide to join a gym, they don't shop around. They already know where to go. Another example. A financial advisor in Chicago offers free weekly classes on budgeting and debt management at the library. People attend. They learn how to manage credit card debt. They save a little money. They feel grateful. Months later, when they're ready to invest, who do they call? The advisor who helped them for free. That's how trust turns into income, not through pressure, not through manipulation, through consistency. This is the same principle that made the $1 Million Senior Shop possible. The free photo printing, the patient tech support, the small daily acts of generosity. They weren't just freebies. They were investments in trust, and trust paid back far more than any ad campaign ever could. Trust is scalable. One happy customer tells their friend. That friend tells another. Before long, you don't need to spend money chasing customers. They come to you. This works in every part of North America. A mechanic in Detroit who treats customers honestly will always get referrals. A dentist in Vancouver who explains procedures clearly will always keep patients. A realtor in Florida who prioritizes client needs over commissions will build lifelong relationships. When you think long-term, trust compounds. The longer you keep it, the more valuable it becomes. The more loyal your customers, the easier your business becomes. Every business model boils down to this. Trust first, exchange second, money third. What if the fastest way to grow your wealth isn't about chasing new customers, but about building deeper trust with the ones you already have? Opportunities don't always look like opportunities. Most of the time, they look like problems. They show up as complaints. They show up as frustrations. They show up as things people wish were easier. The problem is that most people ignore complaints. They shake their head, they laugh, they move on. But those complaints are signals. They point directly to unmet demand. Think about it. A parent in Chicago complains there aren't enough safe, affordable after-school programs. That's not just a complaint, that's a business idea. Someone who starts a reliable tutoring and childcare program immediately steps into a flow of money. Or imagine a neighborhood in Dallas where people constantly say it's impossible to find trustworthy contractors for small home repairs. Everyone complains about being overcharged. Everyone shares bad experiences. To most people, it's just noise. To someone who pays attention, it's opportunity. Start a service that connects homeowners with vetted, reliable contractors. Trust plus demand equals income. Here's another example. A group of seniors in Florida keep saying they feel lonely. They miss social connection. That's not just a sad reality, it's a signal. A community center that offers weekly social events, tech classes, and group trips can become both a business and a service. People will pay for experiences that solve loneliness. The difference is how you see it. Scarcity mindset says, there are no opportunities left. Abundance mindset says, every problem is a potential business. Think about how many times you've said, there should be an easier way to do this. Ordering food, filing taxes, managing student loans. Those frustrations you feel are the same frustrations thousands of other people feel. And every frustration is a chance for someone to build a solution. The world isn't short of money. The world isn't short of needs. The world is short of people willing to listen and act. This is why many great businesses were born from simple complaints. Uber came from people frustrated with taxis. Airbnb came from people who couldn't afford hotels. DoorDash came from people who wanted restaurant food without leaving home. You don't need to invent the next billion-dollar app. Sometimes, all it takes is listening to the people around you. What do they complain about every week? What do they wish existed? What do they keep saying is too expensive, too complicated, or too unreliable? That's your map. That's where demand lives. And where demand lives, money flows. What if the next big opportunity is already in your neighborhood, disguised as someone's everyday frustration? Education can be powerful, but education without direction becomes a trap. Too many people collect degrees without knowing why. They spend years in school, they pile up debt, and when they graduate, they still don't know how to make money. The problem isn't learning. The problem is learning without purpose. Ask yourself this: am I learning to solve a real need, or am I just learning to feel safe? In North America, it's common to see someone with a master's degree working a job that barely pays off their student loans. They were told education equals success, but no one told them that education only pays when it connects to demand and exchange. Take the story of a young professional in Boston. They spent 6 years getting an MBA. The cost was over $100,000. When they graduated, they landed a corporate job paying $70,000 a year. Most of that income went to loan repayments. They studied hard. They checked all the boxes. But they never asked, whose problem am I solving, and how much is that worth? Now compare that to a self-taught coder in Seattle. They spent a few months learning online. They built a simple app that helped local food trucks manage online orders. The trucks paid a small monthly fee. Soon the coder was making more money than many computer science graduates. They didn't have the degree, but they had a direct connection to demand. Learning should be strategic. If you're in healthcare, learn about telemedicine. If you're in finance, learn about digital tools and automation. If you're in construction, learn about sustainable building methods. Don't just learn for the sake of learning. Learn to solve a real, growing problem. Continuous learning matters, but it must be focused. Every time you consider a new skill, ask yourself one question: what problem will this help me solve for others? If the answer is clear, go for it. If the answer is vague, think again. Because here's the reality. The market doesn't reward knowledge for its own sake. It rewards applied knowledge. It rewards solutions. It rewards those who connect learning to value. Every course, every book, every certificate should be a tool, not a trophy. What if the next skill you learn could directly connect you to a stream of money instead of just adding another line on your resume? Short-term money feels exciting. It feels fast. It feels like a win. But it rarely lasts. Long-term money feels steady. It feels secure. It builds layer after layer until it becomes freedom. That's the difference between chasing quick cash and building wealth. One is a sprint. The other is a marathon. Many people in North America chase short-term wins. They jump on trends. They buy into fads. They look for the next get-rich-quick scheme. And when the wave ends, they're left with nothing. Long-term wealth works differently. It's built on trust. It's built on relationships. It's built on solving problems that never go away. Take car dealerships as an example. In some towns, dealerships push overpriced warranties and hidden fees. They might make money once, but those customers never come back. Now compare that to a dealership that charges fair prices, explains everything clearly, and follows up after the sale. That dealership earns repeat buyers. It earns referrals. It earns trust. Over 10 years, the honest dealer always wins bigger. The same principle applies to small businesses. A restaurant in Toronto that cuts corners might make money in the short term, but word spreads, bad reviews pile up. Soon the tables are empty. Another restaurant in the same city treats every customer like family. They give consistent quality, they listen to feedback. People come back again and again. They bring friends. The restaurant grows steadily for years. This is how trust compounds. One satisfied customer becomes 10, 10 become 100, 100 become 1,000. And unlike advertising, referrals cost nothing. Wealth is not the goal. Wealth is the byproduct. It's what happens when you stay in the game long enough. It's what happens when you keep solving problems honestly. It's what happens when people know they can count on you. On the passive path, we talk about building systems that outlast hype, because wealth that lasts isn't about chasing trends. It's about building something that works for 10 years or more. If you build for the long game, you stop chasing money. Money starts chasing you. What if the real reward isn't the quick win, but the steady growth that keeps paying you for the rest of your life? Now let's bring everything together. Change yourself. Understand the environment. Focus on demand and exchange. Build trust first. See opportunities in complaints. Learn with purpose. Play the long game. Money isn't magic. It's a reflection of how well you solve problems for others. It flows to those who listen, who care, and who act. The path to financial freedom is open. It's not easy, but it's simple. And anyone who's willing to change can walk it. This is the passive path. Take one idea from today and put it into action this week. That's how change begins. If you got value from this video, hit like. Subscribe for more insights. Drop a comment with the opportunity you see in your own life. And share this with someone you care about who needs a fresh perspective on money. I'll see you in the next video.